All right, hello everybody. Welcome to our channel. And today I have a special guest from ULTRALEAP, Miguel. Hi, how are you?
Hey Arthur, how are you?
Nice to have you. All good. Thank you for coming. There's a kind of special announcement today and a discussion. I'm very excited about that. Maybe before we start, can you introduce yourself, what you do in ULTRALEAP, and then we'll just kick it off.
Sure. Thanks, Arthur. Thanks for having me. So I'm Miguel Rodrigues. I'm the SVP of product at ULTRALEAP. And so my teams are building the amazing products in hand tracking and also in the auto space that we have in ULTRALEAP. And one of those products that we're launching today, we'd like to share with you and talk a little bit through that with you, Arthur.
Yes, and that's amazing. Thank you for coming, because not only it's interesting for this channel, but it's also directly relevant to Somnium VR1, which we're shipping in a month to people. So yeah, tell us what are you actually announcing, and then we'll start. I'll probably ask questions and we'll discuss more in details.
Sure. Yeah, so ULTRALEAP is known to have the world's best hand tracking. We've been very proud of that, and we've had this generation of technology until now that we've called it Gemini. It was our V5 technology, and we've now taken a huge leap forward. So we've now have our V6 technology, and we're calling it Hyperion. So we're launching Hyperion, and it brings a whole set of new features that we think are going to be super useful for our consumers and people, exactly like the customers that we have of Somnium that are looking to build some of these applications that can take maximum advantage of excellent hand tracking. And so I can go over a couple of those features and then explain a little bit how important they could be.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I just before you do that, I just want to kind of clarify and explain that what we're talking about is the software upgrade, the software features, which will run on the hardware part which you are selling, including this R170, which is inbuilt directly inside our headset. Now, I just want to say from my side, I mean, I use ULTRALEAP in various headsets like Lynx, for example, or I use it in our headset, and I can say also I use hand tracking in Apple Vision Pro and Quest 3 and things like that, and I can say that why I love ULTRALEAP is for two main things. One is latency. It's just unbeatable, and it really feels when there is latency, you kind of lose the immersion, and it's very hard to do stuff. And two is the precision. I mean, the precision is great, and I've never had any problems with that. That's why we also chose you, and we're working together. It's a great honor. But yeah, so we're talking about the new software update, pretty big leap and jump. So if you can explain what are the main features of that software, that would be fantastic.
Sure. So I think the main thing to talk about is when we looked at the market and we looked at how people are using the technology, we can always, like any product people, we can always identify, hey, these are the things that people would really like us to do, or where we're having more challenges right now. And these are other things that people are not doing today, but if we gave them something better, they could start going into those areas. And so as we looked at this and we collected that feedback from the community, we started looking at what are the features that would really make a difference. And for example, one of them is that if you're, for example, in a flight simulator, or you have anything that has buttons, but they're kind of far away from you, it tends to be
small.
Yeah, very small. And they're very tight together. For example, if you're talking about a simulator in an airplane, there's like everywhere.
I can relate to that, yes.
Yeah. So when you're clicking something, like the vision from your side, in terms of computer vision, it's a super hard challenge because it looks almost exactly the same. Imagine the camera is here. It looks almost exactly the same if you're here or if you're actually touching. And so that's a challenge that it's not easy to solve if you had computer vision alone. And so we had to associate that with machine learning and a lot of the models that we're building to kind of be able to go to that extra mile. And so we have this feature called UI input mode that is done specifically so that what we call the finger curl, which is as the finger moves, it kind of drops because the camera doesn't see it anymore, to kind of address that. And so you're now going to be able to click buttons in a way that until now it was not possible if you had only the camera sight and you were doing no other processing. So that's kind of one of the challenges that people either in the flight industry or the auto industry were telling us, and that I think translate really well for gamers because they're doing exactly the same thing sometimes when they're in these simulators. And then if you take a step from that and you look at what do people want of hand tracking? They want quality. And so we've looked at how do we increase the quality of our tracking to be as highly accurate as we can and as highly reliable as we can. And there are always trade-offs when you make these decisions. And
Sure.
usually it's around like what's your frame rate, how much power you're drawing. But one of the good things also of Somnium is in some of these cases, especially when you're tethered, you're not really worried about, hey, is my headset going to last for 4 hours or 5
Exactly.
hours? And so you might want to take as like the maximum processing power that you can, just to say, I really want to get this to the best that I can get out of my hand tracking. And so we've now built different layers of performance that you can choose. And so you can say, hey, I want a balanced performance, and that's what you had until now. So it just gives you, like, it looks at the power that you have, and it tries to run in an optimized way. But you can do two new things. You can go to low performance. So for people that, for example, imagine you're almost going into like the low power mode. So imagine you have like 25% of battery left or something like that. And you say, I still want to be able to interact. You might want to bring that to the low power mode. And what that does is it takes back a little bit of quality, but still allows you to interact. But you're not going to have all of those extra features when you're doing that.
Interesting.
And so you have the low power mode, but you have the opposite, which is the super high performance mode. And that's the mode where we're super excited about having people try it, because it kind of takes more CPU power, and it allows you to do things that until now were really hard to do. And this has to do with, for example, rotating when you have your kind of
FinOps,
and rotate them. And it allows you to kind of have really good interaction. For example, if you're grabbing something, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the features that will help, that allows you to have a different interaction than you had until now. And so we're hoping that people try this and compare it with other things, like you were saying, and say, hey, how do I feel about this type of tracking? So it's much bigger models on our side that really increase the quality. And that's something you can choose as a developer when you're building your app. We have in our SDK what we call the hinting API that allows you to give a hint to our SDK of saying, hey, this is the model that I would really like to use right now. And so you can say, hey, now I want to use low power, or now I want to use the high performance because be doing something very precise. And so developers, it's all about giving that power back to developers and saying, instead of us trying to figure out how you want to use this in your app, let's allow the developers to choose if they want the balanced mode. That's fine. It will work like it has worked until now, but they can now fine tune and have that flexibility and options.
And I think I totally relate to what you're saying, because our headset is a prosumer enthusiast headset. So we know from data already, we have thousands and thousands of reservations, and we know, first of all, that majority of people want a headset with hand tracking. That's already a given. And second of all, there's a lot of developers. There's a lot of enthusiasts and gamers, like simmers. And honestly, for us, I count myself as a simmer as well right now, because it's fault of our community and our headset. But like the knobs, the switching things, you could do that with a mouse, which is it breaks immersion. You could do this with controllers, which is obviously not nice as well. But of course, having an ability to just point and turn the knobs, because like, I don't know, lighting in the cockpit on those things, radio frequencies, things like that, it's amazing. If that will work. And my hope is that the developers who buy the headset from us will actually build those experiences. Not only use them, but also build this using the ULTRALEAP. Another thing I just want to mention why I'm so excited is because you guys, as part of our partnership, we have found a middle ground where you guys sell the consumer Ultraleap devices, but you also sell prosumers for companies, and there are some licensing fees and things like that. It's more expensive. We, as the Somnium VR1, we said, look, we are trying to be as open source as possible. We completely gave out the eye tracking of our headset, and we wanted to make hand tracking as open as possible. And that's why we agreed on this prosumer license, so that every Ultraleap coming with VR1 has this prosumer license. So no matter who you are, if you're a small developer or you're a big guy, or if you're just a consumer, use it as you want, and we don't ask you questions. And I think that's fantastic, because we want people to build with our headset, and I think that's completely in line with what you guys are doing. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think one of the biggest problems that exists in our industry is this lack of content. And so we want to motivate the community to build more content that kind of leads other people into saying, hey, I really had an amazing experience. I would like to see more of this. And if you think about that vision, that kind of long-term vision, you would want people, like if you're in a flight simulator, you would want people to do the same thing as if they were on a plane. So, on a plane, hey,
yes.
like I want to click this button and I want to click that and I want to grab. And that's not something that we can do today. But there's really no technology boundary anymore for us to excuse ourselves into saying, hey, like I need to use my mouse to do something. And so really excited to see how we can get this into the hands of, not only people that are developing, but also people who want to use it and have fun. So that we bring that level of interaction. That's really the vision. We want to break this boundary between, hey, if I was in reality, I would use things like this, but because I'm in front of a screen, I need to do it differently. It should not be like that. You should be able to do this exactly the same way.
I agree with you 100%. And I think, what we discussed in our meetings in the past, and even prior to this conversation, we as Somnium, we said we'll run development competitions to foster community around the development around our headset. That goes to eye tracking, which will probably run this, together with VR engineers. We'll run those competitions. There will be money prizes, and together with you guys, we'll probably run competitions for hand tracking, and we'll do the same thing. We'll try to foster those, and push those people to make great applications, because great technology is there. It's already inbuilt. Now let's start building with that and utilizing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us more about the new features. And I think maybe one more thing important. So you are having this new software update, and it's important to mention that it will run on all the versions of Ultraleap, including the version which is inbuilt in Somnium Space headset, the SR170. So just wanted to mention this before you go into the details of the features.
Yeah, exactly. So the Hyperion version will run on our Leap 2 camera, and it works on the device the camera that's also inside of the Somnium, and so that's perfectly fine. And they will have access to the features that we're describing. One of the things, one of the features that we looked for is what could we build that no one else has shown until now, and how could we, if we really wanted to take this to the next level, say, how could we track something that gives people a very different experience? And if you can choose how you interact, we have this belief that we're here to break the interactions and really make sure that people can interact any way they want. Not always will you want to have movements that are pretty big and that tire your arm. So that's fine for some of the games, but in some of the other situations, you will want to have smaller movements. And so we have here a video to show what we're calling...
We'll put it here, yes, magic of editing.
Exactly. We have a video, what we call micro gestures. So when you don't want to do those big gestures and you just want to control, for example, an interface, you can do that now with just moving your finger very, very slightly, just a couple of millimeters to each side. And this is something that has had research from people, in Google, Meta, and other places in the past. We are now very happy to make a product and bring this just with computer vision, so without using anything else, because we believe that the technology has reached a point, and our models and our research has reached a point where we can productize this and actually have something that allows people to use it in their applications. And
exciting.
So one of the videos is, for example, you could just swipe the same way that you do now when we're kind of doom scroll. You could just swipe through something very easily. or if you had like an album cover, you could swipe to that. If you think about games, a lot of the times you have like catalogs when you're moving through things and options, you're moving through options. You now have two ways of doing that. You can say, hey, I really want people to be able to grab this and move it. That's fine. But if you think that someone's going to be doing that for a very long time, you might just want to say, hey, I just want people to change things with their finger just without tiring. And so we're giving that option now. It was not made available before because no one had the accuracy and the reliability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're super excited. This has had a lot of interest from a lot of people in the industry. We're excited to release that now as micro gestures. And so we used to say like they're small gestures, but they'll have a big impact in how you interact.
Absolutely. And I have to say, I mean, you obviously you're familiar with Apple Vision Pro and you use it extensively. I'm sure you guys are testing it. I mean, it just makes sense, right? If we're talking about maybe not for all the applications, but if you're casual using something casually, if you're swiping through the videos or you want to change some menus, that's super useful. And I think Apple nailed it in a way how you operate with their system. So that brings this other part of more open system to the developers, which is fantastic. Kind of wait to see what people will build. I think accuracy and the latency is just what always kind of brought me towards ULTRALEAP, because milliseconds, they do matter. And maybe if you can tell how because you trained it on new models, right? How difficult was it? How long have you been guys preparing this update on your side?
We've been working on this for a while. I would say maybe on some of these features and putting all of this together, maybe there's about like at least 1-2 years of work on some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
This is not just about training the models. It's about, in a lot of cases, and I think people have seen this when you talk about AI, in a lot of these cases, sometimes you try things and you get results, but you don't really know where they would be useful. And it's only when you look at the market and what people are doing that when you put those two things together, you say, well, I got this innovation here. I don't know exactly how I'm going to use it right now, but I know this is bringing, for example, additional quality when you have, for example, a low contrast, or when the lighting conditions are different or something like that, or in a specific use case. And it's only when you put that together with, well, how are people using my technology right now? When you put those two things together, then you start generating features like these. So, well, if I can detect like really small movements, how could I use that in a product? Well, if people were using this the same way they use their phones sometimes, then I could build something with that. And so I think it has been a really interesting process to go from, research to then seeing, well, what's the market telling us, doing all of that analysis, doing tests, user experiences, and then starting developing and kind of fine tuning this towards the end. And I think we're now at the end of that cycle. And so we're very happy to show this. Some of these things have been much faster. And I can say that, the rate of innovation that we have on some of these things, sometimes it's months. And sometimes you just need to you break one of those boundaries where you say, well, this was blocking me, and now I have like 3 things that I can build on to have features for my customers. But it's definitely takes some time. But I do think that the technology has evolved also a little bit. We do see, especially with like the camera technology, we have, I think, a good kind of platform to be able to build some of these things with our Leap 2 technology and what we're doing also with you. And I think that is very good for developers to try and test new things. So we definitely don't think this is the end of the release. And we hope that as people build new applications and they start
sure they will.
these models, they will tell us, hey, we actually think that if you had a model that could do this very precise thing, it would be great. And we'll take some of those ideas from the community and then see how we want to evolve that.
Okay, that's just that's sugar to my ears. But can we just quickly recap in 1 to 3 like what's new in Hyperion, just as a recap before we kind of finalize our thoughts?
Yeah, so Hyperion is the highest performance and highest quality generation in models that we have built so far. So the first thing is it increases the quality to a place that no one has seen so far. And that has to do with things like micro gestures or being able to look at poses that were very hard to build. Two other things that we have not done in the past. So one, whenever you were tracking your hands, immediately your hands would drop if you pick up something. So, for example, if I pick up a tool or if I'm playing a game, if I pick up the steering wheel, for anyone who's trying to track your hands, they would drop immediately. And so now we have a model we're calling a hands-on object that would allow you to continue tracking your hands. So if you are doing a flight simulator or a racing simulator, you can now grab the steering wheel and
Fantastic.
you could drive that and still track your hands. That's something that no one else is doing in the market, and we're very happy with that. We have a video of this, someone just picking up a bottle.
Yes.
Yeah, someone picking up a bottle and kind of showing that we can still track the hands. And that allows you to, as you're developing, to kind of consider, okay, if someone's grabbing the steering wheel, I can do something in the application. And if you're not grabbing the steering wheel, for example, you can touch other controls. Second thing that people have not seen until now is we can now do what we call the fiducial, we can use fiducial markers. And so if you have a tool, you could stick like a QR code on the tool and then use that to track. Now, this needs really high resolution, so you cannot do it very far away. But again, if you had something in a game or a controller that you're trying to position in place, you could use now markers. So not only do we track your hands, you can track the markers at the same time that you're tracking.
That I want to stop for a second because, as you know, our headset is a Lighthouse track headset, which it's by far the best tracking for the headset in the precision period, in my opinion, though. But a lot of people were asking us, hey guys, because you have mixed reality in your headset and also you have ULTRALEAP, is it possible, in theory, in the future, to use those to make the inside-out tracking, the camera slam-based tracking to track the headset? I always said, listen, in general, we know even the two cameras on the mixed reality are capable of doing that, but we don't have the software ready yet. What I'm hearing from you that this brings even more capabilities for people to track objects, but potentially the headset, because ULTRALEAP is the array of sensors and cameras which can operate in a dark environment, things like that. Am I far away from the truth?
I'd say maybe it's a step in that direction. It's not
Sure.
not saying that we're able to track that yet, but I think it is a step in that direction. We have seen customers that are very interested in using these markers, for example, to bring virtual objects into the world. So
fantastic.
You could,
I would be interested.
Yeah, put one of these markers, and then imagine if you're doing a racing game, you could have your trophies behind you. When you have this, you could look at
social. We are social VR world. I mean, bringing your real life objects in your social VR environment is the dream come true, of course.
Yeah. And then we have people in enterprise that, for example, if you're picking up a wrench and you're a mechanic or something like that and you're doing training, it would be great to know, like, did you pick up the wrench or did you pick something else?
100, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So exactly. It allows you to kind of label things in an easier way and then track. We're still tracking the tracker. We're not tracking the actual object. But I think you start seeing that if you put all of these things together and you put like, I can now track your hand while you're holding the object. I can know where the object is and I have more precise tracking. Then all of those things come to a really nice conclusion. And so when you're asking like, what's the main thing about Hyperion? I would say we're trying to bring the best quality tracking that anyone has ever seen. And that kind of trickles down to a couple of new features. And we're going to continue building on those features. But right now, we should expect tracking to become much, much better and to give you that flexibility that now you can choose what type of tracking do you want in each situation. And so I think that's novel and that's new, so that the user or the developer in this case is picking up what models they want to use and what trade-offs they want to use.
It's fantastic. I mean, you already have best hand tracking out there, like you do. And now this brings it to the next level. I'm excited. And I know, as I said, majority of people already want to buy VR1 with hand tracking, but I'm getting the question or debates. I'm seeing debates in our Discord or in our community, like, okay, if I want to save some money or if I want to save some weight, maybe I would, what should I, do? Should I just forget about mixed reality, but then I don't see anything through? And what about hand tracking? Do I need hand tracking? And I always say, because you're buying our headset for 4+ years, it's a tool which you'll use for 4+ years, and to make your headset future proof and to make sure that you're getting all those features which are already available with the new update, but then others will build on top of those, and I'm sure there's going to be many applications. It's, in my opinion, it's a must. I would never buy a headset without a hand tracking in 2024. It just, especially with Vision Pros and with more applications trying to be spatial and spatial computing, and we have a virtual desktop, for example, inbuilt in the headset in our software. So being able to interact without having a mouse, it's just a very direct thing to do. It's the first thing you will wanna. So yeah, this kind of things, it's, in my opinion, it's just a must. So those who are trying to save money, I have bad news for you. But other than that, it's very exciting. And yeah, I mean, thank you, Miguel, for coming. You're announcing it, so we're recording it, but you are seeing it at the moment of the global announcement, this video. And we will be, every VR1 coming with the hand tracking will have those capabilities. So make sure to to test it, to try it out later, and then purchase the variant you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we see each other soon. You'll probably be at Somnium Connect as well. Not probably, it's a must. The Somnium Connect. So we'll see each other there. And with others, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.